All right, we're live. Hello, TFWR. How are you today? Second show of the day. We've got a young man here, Micah Faxon. You may have seen his. How are you, sir? You may have seen his story. He is a young man over at Melbourne High School. He's graduating this year. Plans on possibly, not 100% sure yet, but I think he's planning on doing the UCF thing, maybe rolling around on the mat there at the club level and seeing where it goes from there. But he's got an amazing story, and we're going to talk about that. But before that starts, this whole pandemic and your family and everything, how has this kind of affected your world in the off season and school and getting in the mat still? And how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, feeling happy. It hasn't affected my school too much, thankfully. A lot of my classes have been online since I'm taking college classes at the same time as doing high school. So the transition was really easy. And just last week, I finished all of my classes, so I have nothing else to worry about. And other than that, I've been volunteering at the homeless shelter so I can get my scholarship.
Oh, nice. Good for you, man. That's awesome. Good stuff there. And so a little bit about Micah Faxon out there. Anybody who doesn't know, and I wrote this down. Micah was diagnosed with bilateral clubbed feet when he was born, or shortly thereafter, right?
Yeah,
And
as I was in the womb. Nothing.
Yeah. So let's start there. Tell us what clubbed feet is, and just educate us on that to let us know kind of what that is.
So, in a sense, clubbed feet, it's kind of called that because when you're first born, your feet literally look like clubs. Like I can kind of show with my hands. Like most people's feet, when they're born, they just look straight and normal like this. When I was born, my feet were like this, curved completely.
Ooh.
And so I had to get, like I talked about, I had 2 major surgeries when I was 4 or 5 and then in 3rd grade. But I had many surgeries when I was younger to try and correct it. So they had to cut my Achilles tendon and adjust it. And they put me in casts for, I think, the first 9 months of my life. I was just in a cast the whole time. And my feet aren't perfect now, but they're better than what they would be if I didn't get the treatment.
But they're getting there, right? And so at the age of 2 and at the age of 3 and 7, you had to have a couple of surgeries. Tell us about that.
It was the first surgery. I honestly don't remember why. I have a lot of scars on my right foot. Like I have one gigantic one on the back where my Achilles tendon is, and I have 2 or 3 on the sides of my foot. And I just remember, the only thing I really remember in that was being in a wheelchair the whole time. And I had a cast.
Wow.
And then I remember after that, I had to relearn how to walk. And don't remember too much of it when I was younger than that. But in 3rd grade, that's the one I really remember. So
that's the one you were 7 years old.
I think I was 10. Maybe.
10, okay.
Or somewhere around there. It was 3rd grade. I
remember. But old enough to remember.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened there was because my feet are misshapen, sometimes like bones collide with each other in a way. Ooh. So one of my bones, it like disappeared technically. Like the cartilage that was protecting it from the other bones rubbed away. So then the 2 bones that were surrounding it rubbed the bone that lost its cartilage away to like dust pretty much. So one day I went to a doctor for a checkup and they just were like, hey, you're missing a bone there. We kind of need to get a new one. So I got a cadaver replacement and they put a couple screws in my foot. And then that was it. I was in the hospital for a month. And then I was laying down in bed in a soft cast for another month. And then I was in a hard cast for 6 months, maybe, something like that. And
wow.
I had to completely relearn how to walk again. Like my parents just kind of put me up against the wall and said, good luck. And I was like, okay.
And so as you fell forward, you just kind of learned to do it on your own. So,
Yeah.
I mean, tell us your story. So you get, I mean, now you're, how old were you when you found the wrestling room?
Well, I remember the first time I ever started wrestling it was like when I was in kindergarten. And I remember that. It was fun. But I only did that for that year. But I still have like good memories of it. But I didn't actually start again until freshman year. Like I live in Melbourne right now, and we moved down here because one of our family friends, he was one of the volunteer assistant coaches at Mel High. So we came down for him, and I thought I'd just try it out. And I just I remember just walking up, seeing the guys on the wrestling team. They were really nice to me right away. I had no problem with it. And they were just like talking about having conditioning practices later in the week because this was like the freshman orientation I was at. And they had a table booth out there. So I got to talk to them for a little bit, get to know them. And then I remember the first conditioning practice. That was rough because it was a lot of running. And I remember I had to tell the coach, I was like, I have messed up feet. I can't run much. He's like, just do what you can. Don't worry about it. Do what you can, and we'll help you out from there. And I said, okay, sounds good.
Man, so the other kids on the team, if they wanted to quit or slow down and you were just going, that had to motivate them. Like, man, that kid's doing it with those.
Yeah, that's what I did this year. I was the captain on my team this year, and anytime I would pass anybody, I would just try to remind them that they're getting passed by a cripple. So it motivated them.
That's awesome, man. So you got in the wrestling room. You're starting to learn. Obviously, I was reading where the pain sometimes was maybe unbearable.
It was because my feet are also very wide. So, in wrestling shoes aren't made for wide feet, or most aren't, anyways. And I need a lot of support in my ankle and that arch and whatnot. And wrestling shoes don't have any of that. So, being in my shoes for an extended period of time, sometimes it genuinely feels like my foot is on fire. Like I just have to take off my shoe and shake it out a little bit. And like there's nothing I can do about it except just kind of like, I don't know, suck it up. Like I have no other answer.
So who's the head coach over there?
My freshman and sophomore year, it was Ryan Witzel. And my junior and senior year, it's Horace Perry. They're both great coaches, love them to death.
Yeah, what have they meant to you and your progression, just life, school, wrestling?
I don't know. They were some of the people that I could actually rely on. Like whenever I had problems or anything like that, I know I could always go to them. Or just any troubles with like, it was usually wrestling in general. Any questions I had, I could ask them. And that's how I feel. And same thing with my assistant coaches, like Coach Adam, we call him. He was there all 4 years for me, and he's been like the best. I can always talk to him about anything.
Well, and I think sometimes, and I'm not a kid anymore, but you are, and talk about that. I mean, how much we have parents and we have dads and moms and we love them to death, right? And they're whatever, but there's something about that coach that we just feel more comfortable talking to them over dad or mom, or if we're having some issues. And is that the case?
I'd say yes, but not all the time. Because honestly, I'm a pretty open book. Like I talked about anything to anyone. So yes, I'll talk to them about that, but I would also talk to my parents about it. Because with my parents, lucky that I have a good relationship with them where I can talk to them about anything. And I'm the youngest child. I have a very big family. I have 7 other siblings. So by the time they get to me, they're a lot more lenient on like stuff that I need to talk about. And I'm like, okay, cool.
So they've already been through the fire, so you're good. Exactly. You can bring anything home. Any of your other siblings happen to wrestle?
2 of my brothers did just for when I was in my freshman year. Other than that, they didn't. But they liked it. But I was the one that like really fell in love with the sport. Like I was always going to like the extra practices and whatnot. And it was just so much fun. Like before season started, we were lucky for one of our volunteer coaches. He had a club, so we would go there and learn like freestyle and Greco, and I guess that was like my first introduction. He would show us like simple throws, and I remember I really got good at the firemen's there. Like that was just beginning of my freshman year before official season started.
So how was your, excuse me, how was your senior year? How'd you do this year? How far'd you go?
It was pretty good. Uh, I guess it wasn't perfect. Obviously, if it was perfect, I guess I would have been like undefeated state champ. But
Right.
it kind of is what it is. Nothing I can do about that. But I had some tough matches, tough losses. I think my favorite matches were actually some of my losses because some of them were more fun. Like I went one of my more memorable ones was I went to the Cradle Cancer tournament this year and I won first round and won second round and then I lost the next round and I think I got majored and but then I just had to win one more match to get to the second day. So I did that. And then my first match of the second day was the guy that I just lost to the day before. So when I faced him the second time, that match was a lot more memorable because, yeah, I remember the first time I faced him, the score was 12-4. And then that time when I faced him, it was 6-5. He beat me by 1 point. I was sad that I lost, but I really closed that gap. And I remember I almost won because one of the things I like to do in wrestling is scramble a lot. When I did it, I was just about to come out the back door and get 2 points. Then the ref calls it as a stalemate, and I just looked at him like, "What? You got to be kidding me!" Like all
Oh,
my coaches were looking at him too, like, "You got to be kidding me!" He was just about to score.
oh man.
I had to from there was like 30 seconds left. I had to take a lot of risks and try to get shots, but he was just stalling because he could. And I was like, I understand, but come on.
So that's good. So you remembered what happened the first day and
Yeah.
picked it up the second day and fought your butt off. So what are your first of all, what has wrestling meant to you? I mean, because you found the wrestling room with your condition and have been able to kind of accomplish things you've accomplished and persevere through some things that we could never imagine. What do you? How important has it been to be a wrestler?
I'd say very important. Like I wouldn't even call myself extremely bratty in my freshman year, but like I just moved down from Wisconsin and I was not happy about it. So in a sense, wrestling at first was like the only place where I genuinely had fun. Like I had friends in school, can make friends pretty well, but the wrestling room was the one place where I like had genuine fun. I always look forward to it, no matter how much it sucked. Like I don't know if it's just like the bantering with the seniors or just live wrestling, like that type of stuff. I always had fun with it. I wasn't
That's
even on the
cool.
varsity lineup my freshman year, but I had no problem. It was just fun to be around everybody.
So who is your favorite wrestler?
Oh, I guess right now some of my favorites to watch are like Spencer Lee and Yanni Diakimahalis because I try to. I mean, I guess I don't necessarily try. It just kind of happens. I like pick up similar moves that they do. Like you've seen Spencer Lee's arm bar where he gets the tilt and whatnot. I put that into my move set and I did it very well, I think. And then Yanni, I tried some things like he did with scrambling, and I don't know, it just kind of works. Like I scare people a lot because with my feet, it's like very obvious that something's wrong with me because I have like almost no calves. So whenever I face somebody, they always look at me like, "Oh, he's easy. I got this." And then
Little do
try to
they know.
cheat on me, and then they regret it completely. It's funny.
So that's cool. So what was I know you talked about that match, but who was your favorite person you wrestled in your high school career? Like your
Mm,
most memorable match?
I guess most memorable would be my friend Andrew. He wrestles for Vieira High School. That's like 30 minutes away from me. We had like 4 or 5 matches just this year. Like the first was at the Barbara Pill Memorial in the finals. I lost by like 1 point, and I was like, Actually, I never beat him this year, but I had no problem with it because we're good friends and I don't like to hold grudges or anything like that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then at another tournament, we met in the finals again, and that match actually sucked for me just because halfway through the match I dislocated my collarbone, and but
Oh.
I didn't tell my coaches. I was like, I'm good. I remember I was up by like 5 points, like 5-0, and I was feeling really good. And then he mat returned me, and I landed straight on my elbow, and I just felt it pop out, and I was like,
Oof.
oh no. And then just like literally 10 seconds before the match ended, he scored back points on me to tie it, so we went into overtime. And then once we went to overtime, he shot on my bad side that I genuinely couldn't move at all, and I was like, there's nothing I could do there. I was like,
Got me.
yeah, it just is what it was. And then we met again on my senior night. It was a lot of fun scrambles. I really liked that. And then at our conference tournament, we met in the semis. So other than that,
Nice. So what are your plans from here?
uh, well, if I go to UCF, I want to join the wrestling team there. That is like my actual plan. But I've been worried about it because I've heard if the schools aren't online, then there's going to be no sports or anything. And that makes perfect sense. But there's also is a genuine worry that there might not be a season next year. And my main drive to go into school is for wrestling. And I'm getting a scholarship. But I have to, if I want to go, I have to make the decision soon because the scholarship, I have to like tell them that I don't want to go this year. And then it'll still work whenever I do want to go. But
Okay.
if I
We're just
don't
kind
do
of
that,
waiting to see what happens, right?
yeah, then if I don't do that, I'd just be working, take an extra year and like work out. I'd probably go back to my high school, help there because I still want to join the wrestling team at UCF. Goal is national champ. I didn't get state champ, so national champ's the next step, I guess. Nothing else I can do.
How far did you advance?
Uh, I made it to regional conti semis, so like blood rounds.
Nice.
Yep. I mean, I was sad about it, but I don't know why. Everyone at that regional tournament was very sick, and I felt it too. I just didn't realize how sick until after. Like a team next to us is Sebastian River, and 3 or 4 of their guys were out with above 100-degree fever. Like they just didn't
Oh
wrestle.
man.
And I felt it too. I was like, I'm sick, and I had a horrible cough, but I was like, it's my last year. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Bad timing, right?
Yeah, like it sucked horribly. I have no idea how that outcome would have changed if I was 100%. But like I said, it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it now.
Well,
But
good for you, man. I mean, that's awesome that what you've overcome and then to be out there and wrestle. I mean, your feet are important and to be able to
yeah,
do what you've been doing and man, you're an inspiration to a lot of people. So good for you.
thanks. I mean, I do remember there was one really good match there. Some of them were kind of but the match to make it to the second day, I was going into the third period, I think. I was losing like 11-4 or something, and I was on bottom, but I got a reversal and I got on top, and I knew I had to go, so I just stood up and cut him and shoved him as hard as I could and made him move. And then I did like a beautiful slide by, got 2, cut him again. Then I blast doubled him outside of the ring and like knocked him out cold almost. And I felt bad, but like I like ran into him as hard as I possibly could. And then he was like literally knocked out cold for a couple seconds. And
Oh man.
I was like, oh, my bad. Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, it's wrestling, right?
Exactly. And then after that, once he took all the injury time, I knew he was faking it at the end of the injury time because you could just tell. But then once we got back, the score was close. I don't remember exactly, but I had to get a takedown and I got one. Then I let him up. And then I think no, I didn't let him up. I was on top. And then he reversed me and he was up by like 1 point with like 30 seconds left. So I reversed him too. And then I put him on his back and I could just like, I don't know, I just pinned him, and it was like so exciting. It was to make it to the second day. I was so happy. It felt great to making a
Good for
comeback
you,
like
man.
that. I was so happy.
Well, I'll keep an eye on you. You ready for these 10 questions?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so you're down by 3 going into the third period. You have choice. Are you going top, bottom, or neutral?
Down by 3. I'm going bottom. It's like I'm not taking the chance. If I go top, I'm good with top, but I'm not taking a chance. I'm going where I know I can score. Getting
Perfect.
that point.
Do you prefer folk style or freestyle?
Freestyle. It's so much more fun.
Headgear or no headgear?
No headgear. I do not. I have cauliflower ear. I have it right here.
If you have one day available to train, do you prefer to go to a rumble or a clinic?
It depends, I guess. I guess it depends who's running the clinic, maybe. Because like Rumble, I went to one with Ronnie Bresser up in St. Cloud, and that was a lot of fun. But then like a clinic, like I remember I went to like the state champ camp. That was fun too. Or there's one with Jason Dolph in Orlando last summer, but I didn't get to go, but I really wanted to. So I guess it would depend like who and where, like how many people, that type of stuff.
All right, that makes sense. Excuse me. Have you seen the movie Vision Quest?
Yeah.
So who wins the rematch, Loudon Swain or Brian Shute?
I think Loudon could, but I think Shute would keep it a lot closer because he would know. But I think Loudon would pull it off again.
Which title do you think holds more prestige, the Super 32 or the Fargo?
I would think Fargo, because that's like a whole national tournament where, especially if you get both national titles like Anthony Enchimada, like that was just crazy. He came out of nowhere winning both. Super 32, don't get me wrong, amazing either way. Like when Brett Lee Rayna won it, that was great for like Florida wrestling, and everybody was so happy to hear it.
Did you see the interview yesterday?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I mean, I guess I will after this.
So to let you know, and I don't think I've told anybody this, and I know there's not too many people listening, so
Fair enough.
kidding. A lot of people listen, but I've got on Monday at 1 o'clock, I've got a guy named Anthony Echemendia coming on.
Really? So see, that's great. That's awesome.
So you spoke about it. So yeah, I reached out to him. He reached out back, and we're going to get him on the show. So that's going to be so much fun. I did watch the flow. I'm sure you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty cool story. So what's more dominant, a pin or a tech?
A tech is definitely more dominant. A pin, somebody could like defensive pin, honestly, or like you could get lucky with the pin. But a tech, that shows that like you beat that guy up so bad, like like it just hurts to be teched.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know through my kid.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're looking for some chicken. Do you go Popeyes or Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A, definitely. I have like an obsession with Chick-fil-A. Anytime we go to a tournament.
Do you prefer the nuggets or the tenders?
I'd say the nuggets, but when I go to Chick-fil-A, I always go for the sandwich. That's my go-to.
I like it too. You prefer wings or a burger?
Burger. If I make it myself, definitely that too.
So you've cut weight for a tournament, and you get there and you weigh in. What are you eating right after weigh-in?
Pedialyte. Lots of Pedialyte.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, it was rough a couple times this year. I mean, I shouldn't say it on live, but there was at least 3 or 4 times when I weighed in exactly on weight. The second day of our conference tournament, I weighed in at 129.0. At a duel, I weighed in at 128.0. A couple other tournaments, I weighed in at 128.0. And I was like,
hey, you made it.
I was like, the refs looked at me like, you're an idiot, but you still made it. I was like,
Oh, good for you, man. Hey, you've got a great story and keep going. And I hope to see you wrestling at the next level, man.
Yeah, I hope so too. And it's the greatest part of my life. I don't know. I always have fun with wrestling. Nothing else about it.
Oh, good for you. And keep in touch, man. If you ever want to do this again, just give me a holler. We'll jump back on.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, buddy. You take it easy.
All right, you too. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.